Welcome everyone to our Saturday morning weekly setup. My name is Bailey Grady and I will be your facilitator today. It is so good to be here with all of you. I see some familiar names in the chat, so welcome back. Good to be here with you all. If you are new, if this is your first social, if like you're just starting to attend socials, maybe this is your first weekly setup, like let us know in the chat, shout it out. We would love to give you a special welcome, but also so that not just myself and Maya, who is also here with me in the chat, not just so that we can support you, but so that everybody here can help kind of support you as you get going and get started. Because one of the best things about coming to Sonder Socials is, yes, you get to see some cool like tips and tricks and stuff up on the screen, but also you get to spend time with the Sonder fam community, and everybody here has so many great suggestions of things they've tried, different ways of looking at things. So it's not just us putting stuff up on the screen for you to look at. It is also getting to hang out in the chat and get different tips and tricks from other people here. So either way, no matter where you're dialing in from, I see we have people from all over. Welcome. Don't forget, for those of you who have been here before, and for those of you that may be new, be sure that you set that chat box to everyone. A lot of the times it will default to host and panelist, and when it defaults to that, only myself and Maya will be able to see what you have to say. And she and I would love to see what you have to say, but most of the time, I know you all would like to share with the whole group. So just make sure that that chat box is set to everyone if you would like to share in the chat. And as we go through, do not be hesitant to grab a picture or screenshot of anything you see up on the screen. We try to do a pretty good job of kind of hopping between the slides and stuff so that you get multiple chances to kind of look at something. But definitely feel free to grab a screenshot or a photo if you'd like. And we will also share a link at the end where you can find the recording of this social in a few days, along with all of our other socials. There's like over 900 socials on there now. It's kind of crazy that we've been doing this long now. So definitely check it out. So our community guidelines. First and foremost, please be kind and courteous to yourself and to others. Number two, no promotions or spam, please. Number three, we are going to respect everyone's privacy here. And no hate speech or bullying, of course, that will not be tolerated. And then if you would limit kind of repetitive product and accessories questions, especially if it doesn't have like a direct link to what we're talking about today, we don't mind trying to like help. And I know everybody has great suggestions and things, like I said, but we definitely want to try to stay on task at hand. And if there is anything that myself and Maya cannot assist with, we will redirect you over to the headquarters team at hello@silkensonder.com. We do not have access to everything that headquarters has access to. So if your journal has gotten lost in shipping, or if something is wrong with your subscription or anything like that, unfortunately, we're not able to assist, but the headquarters team will be able to help you out. Just give them a day or so to get back to you. And then finally, Sonder Socials are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community. That's all of you. But you are responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. And essentially, what that means in a nutshell is take what you need from this time. If we are working on something and maybe it's a journal prompt that brings up some unexpected feelings, and they are feelings that you are not quite ready to tackle today, you do not have to do that today. You are in charge of you and your time here today. If you need to just hang out in the chat and have some community and maybe just, get some ideas, but actually do your journal setup a little later, go for it. If you are having the opposite kind of day where you need to just kind of be with you and your journal and put that pen to paper and focus, do that. If you have some strong feelings coming up and you're like, ooh, this is like big, but it feels like it could be an aha moment and I'm ready to dive into this, then we are here for you to support you through that and encourage you through that. But if you're not ready to tackle those feelings, that is okay too. So whatever feels right for you today in this moment, we're just glad that you're here taking this time for yourself. We are going to do our authenticity mind map. So our mind map is our activity that is exclusive to our weekly socials. Each week, we get a different prompt that invites us to kind of look at our theme through a new lens. So, we'll be doing that first, and then we'll do our rosebud thorn reflection exercise, thinking about last week before we move into the week ahead. And then finally, we will get into our main event, those weekly setup pages to get ready for the next 7 days. So, as you all, I hope, know by now, we're getting close to halfway through the month. It's kind of crazy. Time is flying by. We are well into the beginning of spring, even though I saw somebody has snow today. It's kind of crazy. Um, but our theme this month is authenticity, and it is a big theme because it is an important pillar, I think, in all of our lives. Authenticity is something that is probably one of the best gifts that we can give to ourselves, to be as authentically us as we can be all of the time. However, there's some really great quotes and things up on the screen there, but I found this little graphic that says authenticity is magic, fake is exhausting. And I changed fake to masking because to me, saying like fake is exhausting in that context against authenticity makes it sound like you're choosing to be fake, like you're choosing to not be authentic. And maybe in some places or spaces, you're choosing to not fully share all parts of yourself, but I don't necessarily think that that makes you fake. I think that all of us would like to be fully our authentic selves in every place and space that we walk into if it was possible, because that's the most comfortable and natural way to be, right? But for a variety of factors, whether it's personal things, or if you're like me and you struggle with something like anxiety, or maybe it's something, experiences that you've had in your past, or experiences that you've had with specific people that like you have a feeling you know how they're going to react to things, right? And you're just not wanting to deal with that. It's your choice to decide what parts of yourself you want to share with people. And being authentic does not mean sharing all of you 100% all of the time. It means that you feel empowered to make that choice. It means you're not hiding parts of yourself because you feel like you have to, or you feel like you shouldn't, or you feel like you can't take up space, or you can't be your vibrant self, or you can't be fully you. If you're choosing to hold back a part of yourself because that's what makes you feel most comfortable in that moment, that is part of your authenticity. You making that choice and saying, I'm going to protect my energy today. I'm not going to engage with that. I know how that's going to go, and it's okay. And that doesn't matter to me. So it's fine. That is still authentically you. It's when you feel like you don't have that choice that it starts to like tip into, okay, now we're not being authentic because we're not giving ourselves that option. And what's going on there? And is it something that we have the power to work on and change, or is it just an unfortunate part of whatever is happening right now? Right. And I think that that's why authenticity can be such a big thing to tackle, is because it comes across as something that's fully in our control. But sometimes we're in situations where like we don't feel safe. And sometimes we can work on that. And sometimes we can't, because sometimes the situation isn't safe, right? It doesn't feel like a safe space to share and be vulnerable. And speaking of vulnerability, we're going to talk about that today. So go ahead and turn to a blank page or space in your journal, or if you already have your mind map page carved out, flip over there. We're going to explore that concept of authenticity in our lives. And this week we are looking at, ta-da, vulnerability. See, that works so well, right? So with vulnerability this week, we are asking, what would it mean for you to be vulnerably authentic? What fears arise from this idea, and how could facing them benefit you? How can embracing vulnerability nurture more authentic connections with those around you? So don't panic. I'll go back to that slide, but I also have the prompt there in the bottom right corner, along with some great quotes up here on the screen. But as always, I will be my authentic self and share with all of you what I wrote here. So for me, the first thing that comes to mind is my anxiety, because oftentimes I find myself in situations where I need to leave or excuse myself, or I need to ask for something. And I don't speak up or take action because I'm afraid how it might impact other people or being judged. And I've gotten so much better at this, depending on how long you've been coming to socials. I actually talked about this like a few months ago, I was like brave enough to like be at a little gathering with friends and be like, "Hey, I need to go lie down. I need to be by myself." And that was like a big deal. But I still have a lot of improvement opportunities too. And the fear of these things happening makes me say no to things I really want to do, right? Like I won't put myself in situations a lot of the times where I feel like I don't have the option to leave or be excused or do what I need to do. When in reality, I always have the options, right? I just have to be able to speak up. And so I miss out on some things that I really want to do sometimes because of that. And likewise, I say a yes to things that I know I don't want to do or can't handle because, again, I'm afraid of like, oh, well, but if I say no, is that going to ruin everybody else's time? And like they're expecting me to be there. And, is it going to detract from their day or their plans? And instead of just like taking care of me and what I need. So, being vulnerable and expressing my needs would open so many doors for me, especially in my social life. And anxiety is a part of me, right? Like, for better or for worse, whether I like it or not, it's just part of who I am. And it always will be. And anyone that can't accept that and all that comes with it isn't somebody that's going to be a close person in my life. And that's okay. I'd rather know who that is now and not later. And so I like this little Dr. Seuss quote here in the bottom left definitely speaks to me, right? Be who you are and say what you feel because those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind. And so far, thankfully, in my experience, anytime I have voiced what I have needed in those situations, with the exception of like one or two times, it's really been met with a lot of grace and love and acceptance and support, right? And unfortunately, there are a few times where it's not met that way. And that's tough. But you know what? I now have an idea of who those people are. And I know better than to allow myself to be in a situation where I might need their help. I just know that they're not those people for me. And as disappointing as that is, I would rather know, right? I would rather know who my people are so that I can invest time in the right people in my life, right? Because time is so precious, and the older you get and the more busy life is, right? You have less and less of it. So I want to make sure that I'm investing time in those people that are willing to invest support in me. So, I will give you all a few minutes to think about this and how it relates to you. If you feel comfortable sharing what comes up for you in the chat, please do so. We are here to cheer you on, we're here to support and encourage. So, if you feel comfortable sharing, we would love to know what you are putting down on that paper. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. If you're still writing, please continue and please feel free to continue to share in the chat. As you're writing and things are coming up, if you are starting to kind of ask another question, which is, well, how do I know if somebody is actually supportive of me, right? Because like unfortunately, if you have had people not be supportive of you and your authentic self, whatever that looks like, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be that you're dealing with something like anxiety, like what I deal with. Sometimes it actually can be hard to figure out like who your real friends are, like who your support system is. And what I can share with you all is that in my experience, if you have somebody that is asking questions, that's a good sign. Well, no matter what you're dealing with, or if you're just trying to do your best to explain like who you are. Like I think I was in a social last week where somebody was like, I know exactly who I am, but I have a trouble explaining it to other people sometimes. And so if that's you too, and you're having trouble kind of expressing yourself and you feel like maybe sometimes you get misunderstood, if you have somebody that is genuinely curious and leaning in and they're asking questions, then you've got somebody that is trying to seek to understand. They want to know, they're trying to learn, and that is usually a good sign. So, thank you all so much for sharing. We are now going to hop into our rosebud thorn exercise. So, reflecting on the last 7 days before we kind of charge into our week ahead. And in the journal, this is on page 36, but you can do a rosebud thorn exercise anytime that it feels right to you. A rose is a highlight, something that went well, maybe something that made you smile, a bright spot in your week. A bud is an emerging opportunity, something on the horizon. Maybe you're excited about it, maybe you're a little bit nervous, maybe a little bit of both, maybe there's some uncertainty there. And then a thorn. What didn't go well last week? What was tough? What are you struggling with? How can we support you through that, right? So I like to kind of do these in reverse. So my thorn is that last week, like for the whole week, honestly, ever since we had storms like 2 weeks ago here, I have not been going to bed when I should be going to bed. And so I have been very sleepy. I have needed a lot more coffee, which has then caused digestive issues because I love my coffee, but my stomach has become very particular about when and where and how and what kind. And so it's not the best when I need to up that intake because it just kind of snowballs. So I'm definitely gonna try to do better about that this week. My bud is that I have a cruise coming up in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. It feels like it was forever away, and now all of a sudden it is 2 weeks away. This will only be the second cruise I've ever been on, and it is a different ship than last time. So I am excited because I enjoyed the last cruise I was on, but also there's a little bit of like feelings of nervousness because certain parts of it will be new. Like I won't really know my way around. I'll have to figure that out. But it'll be fine. It's a boat, right? Like I can't get lost. And then my rose is my best friend's little girl's birthday was last Sunday. And it was super duper fun. They did this thing with the kids where they all got to come and like adopt a puppy, and they were just these little stuffed animals, and they all got to like decorate these little kennel boxes and stuff. It was really, really cute. But I was over there and she was like, Bailey, come here, come sit with me. And if you've ever had a kiddo in your life, especially, at that age of like 7, 8, where they're starting to become more independent, it always feels really special when they invite you in and they want you to come and hang out with them. And so I did, and her dad was nice enough to snap that photo of us. So that was my roast for last week. So please, if you feel comfortable, share in the chat what comes up for you for these different categories. This is one of my favorite activities that we get to do together because we all kind of get a little glimpse into what's going on in each other's lives. And we have such a diverse and supportive group here. We love to celebrate each other and also provide support where we need to. So we'll see you in a few minutes. Thank you all for sharing. If you're still sharing, please continue to share by all means. But we are going to go ahead and move into our main event, which is our weekly planner. So we are on pages 40 and 41 today, and we'll be going through all the different sections here on these pages, starting on page 40 on the top right hand side with how I want to feel. Um, Now, I like to use this section to kind of call back to my word for the year. It just keeps it front of mind for me, and make sure that I don't kind of like lose sight of it because there's a reason, right, that I picked that word for myself. I was like very grounded and very intentional about it at the beginning of the year. But as the year goes on, sometimes I tend to be like, oh, yeah, I did pick that. So using this section to bring it front of mind helps me to not lose sight of it. And for me, that word of the year was serenity. So instead of how I want to feel this week, I figure out a way to create or invite serenity in. And so this week I am inviting serenity in by taking everything one step at a time, just one thing at a time, one moment at a time. When I have a lot to do or I feel like I have a lot to do, I start to feel overwhelmed and I have to remind myself just take it one step at a time. There are some good suggestions there in that little word cloud, but we also have all of these suggestions from different examples in Sonder Club. There's a few new ones in there from last week too. And you can see there's no like right or wrong way to do this. Like you can pick a single word, you can pick multiple words, you can do a quote, you can do a definition, whatever feels right to you. So I'll put on a quick song for you all to think about how you want to feel. If you feel comfortable sharing, definitely do so in the chat, and then we'll move into our next section. Hopefully, you were able to settle on something for this section. If not, that's okay. Sometimes it's actually the last thing I fill out because I have to figure everything else out before I can figure out what I need to call in, right? So we're now going to move down to the center portion of the page here, looking at our weekly to-dos and major weekly 3 goals. For my weekly to-do section, I love that the calendar is right there. I like to circle the days that I have plans going on, and I list those out for myself so that I know what I've got going on for the week. But then on the weekly major 3, I actually use the weekly affirmations that I get from the Silk and Sonder personalized coaching platform. I get that delivered to me weekly, and it comes with 3 affirmations. So it's kind of perfect for me. And so I put those affirmations there, and then I like to try to come up with 3 kind of activities or intentions to kind of like support those affirmations. So, for example, for the first one there, it says, I embrace change and find balance in my life, promoting emotional wellness and steady growth. And the way that I would like to support that is through meditating. And I put myself a little note that says, make it happen, because I have been really slacking on my meditation lately, and it is so important for me. And I don't know why I get into seasons like this where I avoid it, even though I know that it helps and it's good for me. Like I don't know what goes on in my brain there. I'm sure somebody somewhere could tell me. But so I need to try to make that happen. There are a ton of examples here where other folks have also sort of combined these sections together, right? They have like come up with an intention or a category or something to focus on for their weekly major three. And then they have tied that back to actions or multiple actions to sort of support that category. So I love the one in the top left. It's so cute how it's set up with the mind, body, soul, and then like the three little boxes to check off for each of those things there. But you do not have to combine these things. You can leave them separate or combine them or change them up completely. This is your journal. So, whatever you need to be on that page, feel empowered to change it and make it your own. If you have a lot going on this week, or if you feel like you're having trouble tackling those same to dos over and over again, it might be helpful to spend some time with that Eisenhower matrix in the top left corner there. It can help you kind of figure out what's actually a priority this week. Or it might be helpful to use the Pomodoro technique to help you get started on some of those tasks that they don't keep going from week to week to week, right? Because sometimes getting started is the hardest part. I also like the example in like the middle center here where they have said, if you do laundry, then you will feel less overwhelmed. So they're using like an if then statement. It's kind of like tying back in a why. And that is really helpful sometimes to help us sticking to our goals. You also could use our tried and true old favorite, doing a to-do list instead of a to-do list. So instead of writing everything down you need to do, you write things down as you get them done. And then at the end of the week, you get to see all the things you accomplished. You can do a need, want, hope list. You could do a bingo. We love a bingo here at Silk and Sonder. Feel free to make it fun, gamify it. Our brains like fun, they like play. And so sometimes if we can make things more fun, we're more likely to do them. And don't be afraid to switch it up. Like you can see, sometimes people put their to do list over on the weekly major three side, right? That's what this example is. So if the to do space does not feel like where you want to put your to dos because you like those lines, you like those grids, and you want to put your to dos over on the weekly major three, do not be afraid to switch things around. I also like these don't do this instead, and the embrace and release. You can always use different categories to focus in on. You can focus on different routines if you are trying to routine build. Um, I may have to do that in a couple weeks if I can't get my sleep schedule aligned. I may need to build out a checklist for sleep care. You can put affirmations or other self care items here, or you can switch things up completely and maybe do something more fun. Maybe you want to lean into the season and focus on different activities. If you're lucky enough to have some nice weather, maybe some outdoor activities and things you want to do this week, or maybe something fun indoors if you are still getting snow wherever you are, cozy movies to kind of sit and watch this week. It doesn't all have to be about productivity. Again, this is your journal. It's all about pouring into yourself and what is going to make you feel refreshed and ready to take on the week. So I will put on a song for you all and I will go back through all of these different examples here. So if I already moved past your favorite one, don't worry, it will come back. And then we'll move into our next section together. With our center sections tackled, we are now going to hop down to the bottom of page 40 in our habit and activity section, or as some of you like to call it, the habities section. So I've been using this as like a stress check-in area for myself. I use the personalized coaching platform, and after a therapy session where my therapist and I talked about trying to kind of build the connection between my mind and body a little bit better, because I have a tendency to get stressed and not know I'm stressed until I'm really stressed. So trying to like pay attention a little bit more to when that's happening. I actually asked the personalized coaching like live chat, who is like affectionately named like Jenny, what kind of suggestions she might have for that. And she was like, "Oh, why don't you do like a daily check in with yourself?" And I was like, "Oh, that's a really great idea." So I decided to incorporate that here into this section. So at least once a day, I try to check in with myself and just kind of measure like, am I having any kind of a headache? Am I having any muscle tension? I almost always have muscle tension, so I got to rank that one from 1 to 5. Am I having any digestive issues, brain fog, or distraction? And how was my sleep the night before? And I think it's really been helpful so far. I've been doing this for about 2 or 3 weeks now, and I do feel like it's making a difference. I feel like overall I am like feeling less stressed, and I think it's because I am kind of just checking in and noticing what I need a little bit sooner. But you can use this section for whatever you need to keep track of, whether it is a habit, if it is some sort of check in, if it is activities, or if you're trying to build out a routine. We were talking about routines and things earlier in some of the other sections, but this can also be a good place to build a routine out here. You can decide to fill in every little line that is there if that is your heart's desire, or you can literally just track one thing in this section for the week. You could also think about doing like a reward system, like that example in the center is kind of fun. They've like set a goal for all these different things, and then they have like an actual reward listed and picked out for themselves if they do that. But you do not have to set a goal. You also can just kind of track things as they happen if that feels like it is what is going to work best for you. Likewise, you could also track things you're not doing, like maybe you're trying to break a habit or stop doing something. You could also do something fun, like using an acronym, like that top center one. Nicole, that might be yours. I can't remember. Where they've got the acronym of care and they've got these things that kind of go along with that. This space is really yours to do whatever it is that you want to do here. And if you're not sure what to do with this space, one, it's totally okay to just leave it blank. You do not have to fill in every single page or spot that is in your journal if it isn't speaking to you, if you don't feel like it's going to help you, if it's going to stress you out to have one more thing to fill out, then just skip it. Don't worry about it. You can put a fun quote here, you can put a reminder, you can put stickers over here. Just because something is there, doesn't mean that you have to use it. We do have that habit tracker wheel in the front of the journal. If that's working for you, great, focus on that. Likewise, if that's not working for you, this may work better. Maybe you need something with a little bit more flexibility. Maybe you need to change things up week to week. And so maybe you want to focus on this area instead. But there are some other ideas there on the screen of what you could maybe do in this section, or if you want to do something a little bit non traditional, like looking for ways to calm down or doing a daily check in. There's some ideas of how you can do that up on the screen. So I will, you guessed it, put on another song for you guys, and then we'll move into our next section together. All right. We are now going to flip over to page 41, starting with the section that is titled Meal Plan. Now, this section gets repurposed a lot. Not because like having a meal plan or a meal tracker or anything in that nature isn't a positive thing, because it can be very beneficial depending on what you are trying to do and what your goals are. But just because this takes up a lot of real estate in your journal and it is formatted perfectly for so many different things. And so lots of people use it for other things. I am no exception. I actually list out my work meetings here. So, I have like my personal to dos on the to do side of like my personal commitments and stuff. And then I have my work meetings and things over here. And it really helps me to just orient my life and understand what I have going on and how busy ahead my week is going to be. And then I typically don't work on Saturdays and Sundays. Those are usually my off days. And so I don't have any work meetings on those days. So I kind of like switched that section up a little bit. I've been trying a couple different things. And that's fine, by the way. It's fine to like try something for a little bit, see if it works, see if it sticks. Like sometimes you don't know until you try something if it's going to work for you. But when it doesn't stick, it's okay to change it. If it's not working, it's not working, and that's okay. You can just try something else. And so again, I'm utilizing kind of the personalized coaching platform here. It comes with a tip of the day, but I get mine delivered weekly. And that tip of the day came with like a little exercise. It asked me to list like top 3 priorities for home environment and romance goals, which are two of my areas of focus. So I listed like the 3 top priorities that I have in those spaces, and then one activity there or thing I can do to support that. So that was like a cool little exercise to do. And I think I'm going to be able to incorporate some of those things into my week already. So it already feels kind of like motivating to have it there. But you can again use this for so many things because it's just laid out so perfectly. A lot of people will put their to-do list over here actually, since it is like broken out day by day. And then I like these April journaling prompts, and I love this like example of this week. I think I've had that example in there forever because I just love this learned, created, loved, remembered, accomplished. I think that's such a cool way to kind of check in. But you can see lots of different ways here. I love the doodles in general. I love doodles. I think that they are such a unique insight to people's personality, and they're like meant to be, oh, Nicole, those are yours. They're so cute. I just think like doodles are meant to be imperfect. They're meant to be like very like characteristic of the person. And like I just think they're so special. So like I love doodles. I love seeing people's doodles. You've got the different, meal plan for my soul kind of check-in things. Like I said, people put their to-do list over here. One thing I love about myself today, and then somebody else is also using this for the personalized coaching, using it as their daily journal prompt. Excuse me, got a little froggy there. So, if you feel comfortable sharing in the chat what you use this section for, how you are setting it up, again, we would love to know. So feel free to share, and then we'll move into our next section. Thank you all for spending some time with this section. We are going to hop over to our mind body health plan and our shopping list section. I have started seeing people use these kind of interchangeably for similar things. Some people use them as intended, of course, but those that are repurposing, they're kind of like repurposing both of these sections in the same way. Or some people are starting to like connect them together. I always love seeing people do that. I think it's really neat to see how you can tie in the different areas in the journal. And you all are just like so creative. So much of like the different tie-ins and things that I have is things and ideas I've gotten from all of you. But for the mind body health plan, I changed mine to mind body health possibilities instead of a plan. It feels less like a requirement. It feels less like a check off for me. It's more like a brainstorm box. And like some of the stuff that is in there are things that I plan on doing. Like I am planning on going to trivia night. But I also list in other things that are just kind of like, hey, you could do this, or like maybe this would be a good option, or, maybe you could call this one in. And I can kind of see it throughout the week and be kind of reminded of what is kind of available to me, almost like a mind body health like jar, right? But that possibilities word makes it feel less like pressure to me. And then the shopping list, I do actually use a shop as a shopping list because I have a tendency to impulse buy things because if I don't impulse buy them, I have a worry that I will forget to buy them, and that worry is founded on real life experience because I have forgotten to buy things that I need before. So having an actual place to like list things out, especially things that I don't plan on buying anytime soon that like I want to buy but not just yet, is really helpful for me to make sure I don't impulse buy but also I do not forget. Um, Sorry, my one of my screens here just went blank on me. So hopefully you guys can still hear me. I just can't see the chat or anything anymore. I don't know what's going on, but that's okay. I will get that figured out here one second. Um, Apologies, you all. We may not have any music here at the end till I can get this figured out, but anyways, continuing on, I also use the bottom part of this section as kind of a running to-do list. Same thing as a shopping list where I don't have any intention of getting that done anytime soon. But if I don't have a running to-do list, I'll forget that it exists at all. But here are some other examples of ways you can use this section. If you are going to do an actual mind body health plan, please make sure that you are carving out time for rest as well, because rest is arguably one of the most important things you can do to recharge when it comes to taking care of yourself. But there are all kinds of different fun ways that you can use this section and check in. I like the me time bingos and different things. And this I feel and I need is a great way to kind of check in with yourself daily. And then all of these different ideas here. I loved this little party in a box too, celebrating progress over perfection, kind of like a fun doodle activity. So give me just a second to see if I can get this other screen working here, and then we'll close out. Thank you all for your patience. Sorry about that. Zoom has really been picking on me lately. But thank you all for spending some time with these sections. Nicole, that was an instrumental version of Holy. Um, I appreciate your patience while I figured that out. It was thankfully a simple thing. The power cord had just like wiggled itself loose over here. But we appreciate you so much being here with us today. If you feel comfortable sharing one thing that you are loving as we are closing out our time together, we would love to see it. I personally am loving audiobooks, and somebody else is too, because that's not my audiobooks that's up there, it's somebody else's. And Katie, fellow facilitator Katie, had recommended a book series to me recently, and I am loving it. It's called The Bone Season. I think she's probably talked about it before. And I'm very into it. I'm already into the second book. So it's been awesome. And it's been helping me do things around the house because it's like, oh, it's not so bad if I have to do laundry because I can listen to my audiobook. If you feel comfortable sharing the pages that you got set up today, we would love to see those in Sonder Club. You saw lots of examples today, and those are certainly not all mine. Several of them came from all of you, so we love to see how you get things set up. We shared this at the very, very beginning of the social too. You may or may not have seen it, but Meha is actually going to be hosting another event where she's going to talk a little bit about the personalized coaching platform. If you have questions, if you're interested, it is this Thursday. She is still technically on maternity leave with that precious little baby of hers, but she's really passionate about this, and so she wants to come on and kind of speak to it. But also, I think she just kind of misses the Sonder fam a little bit. We all feel that way too, and we've been away for a while. We want to reconnect, so she will be there this Thursday if you can make it. And you can learn all kinds of things about the platform. You heard me talk about it and how I use it in my journal. I use it every single week. So if you're interested in learning more, definitely feel free to attend. And then I will share my playlist here in the chat with all of you. So I've just been playing songs off of like my huge master playlist. There are like 22 hours of songs on there. It's kind of crazy, but feel free to go in there and pull out the things that you like and make your own playlist, or just turn that one on shuffle anytime you like. It does have instrumentals mixed in with the actual songs and things. So just a heads up on that. But we love spending this time here for all of you today. Thank you so much for being here and spending this time in community. It was always special as usual. And until next time, be good to each other, and we will see you all in Sonder Club.